A woman is like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, sometimes rainy. And a man is like the vast sky. Just as the sky does not run away in fear during a storm or argue with the rain, but rather holds space for everything within itself, a man must be exactly like that. The weather will change, but the sky always remains still. The author gives the example of a man who always felt exhausted after intimacy and would fall asleep immediately. Deida taught him how to breathe deeply during intimacy and experience fulfillment without ejaculation. Friends, today we will dive deep into David Deida's legendary book, The Way of the Superior Man, which helps a man reach the highest peak of his life. This book contains a total of 51 chapters divided into 8 powerful sections. Let's see what you're going to learn from these 8 steps today. Part 1. A man's duty. Learn why a man's mission or purpose in life should be greater than his relationships. Part 2. Dealing with women. Learn how to stop seeing a woman's emotions and complaints as obstacles, instead accept them as a source of love and energy. Part 3. Polarity or Attraction. Understand the balance of masculine and feminine energies that keeps intense attraction alive in a relationship forever. Part 4. The Mystery of the Feminine Mind. Discover why women value feeling over logic and how to connect with those feelings. Part 5. Your Dark Side. Learn how to transform your inner fears and dark sides into strength rather than hiding them. Part 6. Feminine Attraction. Understand why even a successful man needs feminine softness and energy for the fulfillment of his life. Part 7. Physical Intimacy and Spirituality. Learn how to transform sexual energy not just into physical pleasure but into higher consciousness and spirituality. Part 8. A Man's Connection. Learn how to become a superior man while navigating the struggles of the world and nature. Friends, these 51 chapters will awaken that sleeping lion within you that society has kept quiet for a long time. So let's begin Part 1. A Man's True Mission in Life. Part 1. A Man's Mission and Responsibility. Chapters 1 to 6. The core argument of this section is a man's purpose or goal in life is his God. If he prioritizes a woman over his mission, he will lose both his masculinity and the woman. David Deida states that a man's life is like an arrow. It must have a specific target. If an arrow drifts aimlessly, it is merely a piece of wood. A man's primary responsibility is to discover his inner purpose. A woman or family can be a part of his life, but they can never be the center of it. Key examples of male focus. Deida provides several important observations in this section to illustrate a man's focus. Sacrificing dreams for a relationship. The author gives the example of a man who loved an exceptionally beautiful woman. To spend more time with her, he abandoned a major project in his career. The author shows that while the woman was initially happy, she lost attraction to him after a few months. This is because a woman subconsciously desires a man who is steadfast in his own purpose. When the man abandoned his goal, he lost his tejas, or masculine fire, the true meaning of a woman's complaint. The author describes a real-life situation where a wife complains to her husband that he isn't giving her enough time. An ordinary man might drop his work to please her and ultimately fail. However, Deida teaches that the woman isn't actually asking for more hours. She's asking for the man's presence or deep attention. If the man finished his work and looked into her eyes with total presence for just 10 minutes, she would feel at peace. Facing death. The author mentioned a man who lived in constant fear of his business failing. Deida advised him to contemplate his own death every day. The author explains that a superior man lives every day as if it were his last. This death consciousness liberates him from petty fears and gives him the courage to pursue great tasks. Metaphors and stories. The ship and the compass. A man is a massive ship, and his mission is the compass. The ship is sailing on the ocean with many passengers, women, children, society. If the captain stops checking the compass just to soothe the passengers' fears, the ship will hit the rocks and sink. Deida says passengers will sometimes scream or be afraid, but the captain must always keep his eyes on the compass or the goal. The lion's roar and the cage. The author compares masculinity to a wild lion. Society wants to cage that lion and turn it into a domestic cat. However, a superior man always maintains his wild edge. He follows social rules, but the lion within him is always roaring towards his mission. 3 major lessons of this section. Mission first. Never sacrifice your life's purpose or mission for any relationship. Your mission is exactly what makes you attractive. No more excuses. A superior man does not make weak excuses like, I don't have time because of my family, or my girlfriend isn't letting me work. Total presence. When you work, be there 100%. When you are with a woman, put away the phone and the work and be completely with her. Friends, today you learned why a man's life purpose is more necessary than oxygen. If you lose your mission, you lose both your attraction and your respect. But how do you find your true life purpose? See you in the second part, where David Deida reveals the mysterious world of women, teaching you how to remain still even in the middle of a storm. Part 2. Dealing with women. In this section, a man learns to solve the greatest puzzle or mystery of his life, the woman. Most men fail because they look for logic or reason when trying to understand a woman. Let's see how Deida explains this through real-life examples and metaphors. The core mantra of this section is, do not try to understand a woman, learn to feel her. The author says that a woman is like a flowing river, and a man is the solid embankment or the mountain on either side. When the river becomes turbulent, the mountain doesn't try to stop it. Instead, it remains still and provides the space for the river to flow. David Deida states that a man makes a mistake when he thinks that solving all of his partner's problems will make her happy. In reality, more than a solution, a woman desires a man's presence or unwavering attention. When a woman becomes emotional, she's actually testing the man's strength. If you get angry or scared, you fail the test. Real-life examples of relationship psychology. The author provides subtle psychological examples to explain the man-woman dynamic. The argument after returning from office. The author describes a situation where a man returns home after a back-breaking day at work. His wife immediately starts with 1,000 complaints, like, "Why did you leave the grocery bag there?" Or, "You aren't giving me any time at all." An ordinary man tries to explain logically how tired he is, but the author shows that the wife isn't actually worried about the grocery bag. She wants to see how still her husband remains despite his exhaustion. If the man, instead of getting angry, had hugged her and kissed her forehead, all complaints would have settled within 5 minutes. The real meaning of a woman's no. Deida gives a brilliant example. Often a woman says no to something, but her subconscious mind wants the man to remain firm in his decision. The author speaks of a superior man whose partner was refusing to go on a trip. Instead of forcing her, the man remained steady in his decision and said with total confidence, "We are going, and I know you will enjoy it." This confidence is what attracts the woman, and eventually she agrees happily. Handling the storm of emotion. The author mentions a woman who suddenly starts crying, saying her life is meaningless. Her husband panics and talks about taking her to a doctor or psychologist. Deida says the husband made a mistake here. If the husband had remained still as a mountain, pulled her to his chest and honored her tears, she would have felt that her husband is strong enough to handle her. Metaphors and stories. The weather and the sky. A woman is like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, sometimes rainy. And a man is like the vast sky. Just as the sky does not run away in fear during a storm or argue with the rain, but rather holds space for everything within itself, a man must be exactly like that. The weather will change, but the sky always remains still. The boat and the anchor. A woman is like a boat floating in a turbulent sea, tossing back and forth in the storm. The man is the heavy anchor. The more the boat tosses, the deeper the anchor must be embedded in the earth. If the anchor starts tossing with the boat, both will sink. 3 major lessons of this section. Conquering a woman with logic is impossible. Do not show logic or reasoning during a woman's emotional moments. Just feel her and make her feel safe in the depths of your love. Take complaints as a blessing. When a woman is angry or complains, understand that she is actually seeking your attention. This is an opportunity to test your leadership. Keep your spine straight. A woman will test you repeatedly. Your responsibility is to remain steady in your mission and personality. The more still you remain, the more she will respect you. Friends, today you learned why a woman's emotion is not a problem but a great test of your masculinity. Just as a mountain does not move during a storm, a superior man must remain still. But how can this chemistry or attraction be kept alive for years? See you in the third part, where we will reveal polarity, that magnetic force of attraction that will keep your relationship always fresh and intense. Part 3. Attraction and Polarity. The core mantra of this section is, attraction between opposite poles is the lifeblood of a relationship. Just as the north and south poles of a magnet pull toward each other, if one partner is not masculine and the other feminine, the attraction fades away. David Deida states that modern men often lose their masculine edge by trying too hard to please women, becoming neutral. As a result, they may become great friends, but the intense physical or emotional spark vanishes. A superior man knows how to keep his own fire and his partner's radiance alive to sustain attraction for a lifetime. Real-life examples of polarity. The good man but dull relationship. The author gives an example of a couple who had been together for 10 years. They never fought and helped each other with chores, but there was no spark left. The man thought he was a great husband. Deida showed that this man had made his partner so safe and certain that no mystery or edge remained. Deida advised him to return to his masculine direction, his own ambitions and goals. When the man started being firm about his hobbies and projects again, his wife subconsciously felt that old, intense attraction returning. Indecision on a dinner date. The author provides a small but vital example. A man asked his partner, "Where do you want to eat tonight?" She replied, "Wherever you want." The man insisted, No, you decide." Deida says the man is losing attraction in her eyes here. A woman actually wants the man to set a direction. A superior man would have said, "Let's go to that restaurant and try something special today." This ability to make a small decision is what sparks attraction. Balancing energies, polarity shift. Deida mentions a woman who held a high-ranking position at work and gave commands all day. When she returned home, she tried to command her husband too. The husband went along with it, resulting in bitterness. Deida taught the husband to maintain his masculine frame at home so his wife could have the space to return to her feminine self. When the husband stood firm in his own decisions, the wife felt mentally peaceful by letting go of control. Metaphors and stories. Electricity and voltage. Just as electricity won't light up without a positive and negative wires, a relationship is the same. If two people try to be exactly equal, there is no voltage. The man must be the positive charge, strong and goal-oriented, and the woman the negative charge, flowing and emotional. Only then will the bulb of the relationship shine brightly. Wind and fire. A man's intensity is like fire, and a woman's love is like the wind. If the wind blows too hard, the fire goes out. If there is no wind, the fire doesn't burn. A superior man knows how to control the flame so that the swaying of the wind makes it grow rather than extinguishing it. 3 major lessons of this section. Learn to make decisions. Whether small or large, take the lead on life's decisions. Your hesitation makes you look weak in your partner's eyes. Maintain your edge. The masculine energy you build while spending time with brothers or sweating in the gym is exactly what attracts your partner. Do not lose it. Preserve the oppositeness. Don't try to be the same in a relationship. Real beauty lies in the difference between your hardness and her softness. Friends, today you learned why being a good person isn't enough. Keeping your inner fire alive is essential. Magnetic attraction only works when the poles are different. But how do you read the mysterious language hidden deep in a woman's mind? What is she actually saying when she is angry? See you in the 4th part, where we will learn the deep mysteries of the feminine mind, which will transform all complaints into love. Part 4. The Mystery of the Feminine Mind. Phenomenal! This 4th section, chapters 22 to 28 of David Deida's The Way of the Superior Man, is a true eye-opener for any man. Here, the author teaches that what a woman says on the surface often hides a different truth beneath. If you only listen to her words, you will make a mistake. You must listen to the language of her heart. The core mantra of this section is, a woman's complaint is actually a hidden gift. The author states that when a woman is annoyed or complains, she isn't trying to prove your incompetence, she simply wants to see how much of a solid mountain you can be in the face of a storm. David Deida says a woman never truly wants a man who obeys her every word to the letter. She wants a man who loves her deeply, but will never compromise his truth or integrity for her. She subconsciously tests your boundaries. If you crumble under her pressure, she loses respect for you. Real-life stories and examples. You never give me any time. The author describes a real incident where a wife screams at her husband, "You're always busy with work. Our marriage was a mistake." An ordinary man panics, drops his work, or starts an argument. "I'm working for all of you." But Deida shows that she doesn't actually want a divorce. She wants her husband to close the laptop, hug her firmly, and say, "I know I'm busy, but you are the most beautiful woman in my life." She isn't looking for logic, she's looking for your deep love and stillness. Shopping and indecision. The author gives a relatable example. A man goes shopping with his partner. She shows him 2 dresses and asks, "Which one is better?" The man indifferently says, "Take whichever you want." Deida says the man made a big mistake. The woman isn't looking for dress advice, she wants her man to make a choice or a decision. A superior man would say, "Take the green one, it makes you look more desirable." This small decision builds her trust in you. Handling mood swings. Deida mentioned a man whose partner became very irritable during her cycle or periods of stress. The man would try to use logic to explain why she shouldn't be angry. The result was a worse fight. Deida taught him, "Don't try to explain, try to contain her. When she is angry, look at her like a playful child and try to make her laugh. If you don't get angry at her anger, she will soon calm down and find safety in you." Metaphors and stories. The ocean and the skiff. A woman is like a vast ocean, sometimes calm blue water, sometimes turbulent waves. If you are a small boat, skiff, the waves will flip you over. You must be the deep seabed far below. No matter how much it storms on the surface, the bottom is always still and calm. If your stillness is greater than the ocean's storm, only then are you a superior man. The tester and the candidate. A woman is like a strict examiner. She throws various mental tests at you all day. She might suddenly say, "Why did you look at someone else today?"
or "You don't love me like before." If you get scared or desperate to prove your innocence, you fail the test. But if you brush it off with a light smile or a joke and pull her close, you pass. 3 major lessons of this section. Prioritize feeling over words. When a woman criticizes you, don't take the words literally. Feel why she is saying them. Is she seeking your attention? Is she testing your stability? Give up the need to please her. If you always try to please her, you will lose attraction. Stay firm in your mission. She may be temporarily dissatisfied, but she will respect you much more in the long run. Humor and love. A bit of humor or physical closeness, a light hug, is far more effective than heavy logic in calming a woman's anger. Friends, today you learned why a woman's mind cannot be measured with logic. Your stillness and deep presence are the keys to handling any situation. But what about the fear and darkness a man carries within himself? See you in the 5th part, where we will learn the technique to transform your dark side into strength, making you mentally invincible.
Part 5. Your Dark Side. Incredible! This 5th section, chapters 29 to 35 of David Deida's The Way of the Superior Man, delves into the deepest and darkest aspects of a man's character. Many men try to hide their primal feelings like fear, anger, and lust, but Deida argues these are not things to be hidden, they are things to be tamed and transformed into power. The core mantra of this section is, your fear is the compass of your progress. The author states that a superior man does not deny his fear, rather he strikes exactly where the fear is greatest. If you cannot positively utilize the dark energy within you, it will destroy you from the inside. David Deida says, society teaches us to be polite and calm, but a man needs a primal, wild energy within him. If you try too hard to be a nice guy, you will lose your spine. You must control your dark sides, like anger or intense longing, so they become creative and protective rather than destructive. Real-life stories and examples. Standing at the edge of fear. The author mentions a man who was deeply dissatisfied with his job but afraid to start something new. Deida told him, "Your liberation is hidden exactly where you are afraid." He advised him to do one thing every day that made him uncomfortable. As the man began facing his fears, his self-confidence skyrocketed. Deida says that where fear ends, heroism begins. Primal masculinity and romance. The author gives an example from a relationship. A man acted very polite with his partner, but their physical attraction had faded. Deida explained that in the bedroom or during romance, a woman doesn't want a gentleman, she wants a powerful man who will love her with full authority. When the man bravely expressed his dark desire, inner primal longing, new life was breathed into their relationship. Embracing one's own death. The author cites a terminally ill patient who became incredibly brave in his final days. Why? Because he had nothing left to lose. Deida says, a superior man lives as if he is already dead. When you mentally accept that your death is certain, no fear or criticism in the world can deviate you from your goal. Metaphors and stories. The naked sword. A man's personality should be like a sharp sword. The sword remains in its sheath, under control, but its edge must never dull. A superior man does not hurt anyone needlessly, but he knows how to use that sharp power when necessary. If the sword is blunt, if you become too soft, no one will respect you. The volcano and the calm lake. A man's surface should be like a calm lake, still and steady. But in his depths, there must be a boiling volcano, undying power and passion. Without the volcano, the lake becomes lifeless. If the volcano erupts, uncontrolled anger, everything is destroyed. The balance of these two is the true test of masculinity. 3 major lessons of this section. Embrace fear. Know that the next step of your growth is hidden in the very thing you fear most. Take one step towards it. Know your shadow. Do not hate your inner anger or stubbornness. Channel them into good work, like hard labor or achieving your goals. True honesty. It is far more honorable to bravely express your uncomfortable truths than to try to be a good person by only speaking sweet words. Friends, today you learned why your fear is your greatest teacher. Conquering your dark side is the first task of a superior man. But why does a woman sometimes try to distract you from your life's mission? Why does her attraction sometimes become a death trap? See you in the 6th part, where we will reveal feminine attraction and its impact, teaching you how to navigate the web of attraction and reach your destination. Part 6. Feminine Attraction and its Impact. This is the ultimate lesson in self-restraint for a man. Here, the author explains that while feminine energy or attraction is the most beautiful thing on earth, for a man who has lost his way, it can become a death trap. The core mantra of this section is, a woman can be the source of your power, but she is not your destination. The author states that a superior man enjoys a woman's beauty but never forgets his primary life mission in the intoxication of that beauty. David Deida says, feminine energy is like nature, turbulent, beautiful, and enchanting. A man is subconsciously drawn to this energy because it provides him with mental peace and joy. However, the danger arises when a man becomes addicted to this pleasure and loses his edge or sharpness. You must learn how to use this feminine attraction as your fuel to reach your goals even faster. Rare life stories and examples. Losing the goal in the intoxication of attraction. The author mentions a highly talented artist. This artist fell in love with a stunning woman and while spending all his time with her, almost stopped painting entirely. He thought this love would give him inspiration, but Deida showed that after some time the woman left him. Why? Because she had fallen in love with an artist, not a lazy lover. When the man abandoned his mission, he lost his attraction as well. Feminine radiance and masculine darkness. Deida describes a situation where a man was under great stress and had become irritable. His partner was trying to cheer him up by singing or dressing up. The man got annoyed and told her to stop. Deida says this is a big mistake. A superior man accepts this radiance or brightness to dissolve his exhaustion. A woman's smile and vitality are the best medicine for a man's harsh life. Do not push it away. Passing the test of beauty. The author gives the example of looking at a beautiful woman while walking on the street. An ordinary man either loses control of himself or suffers from guilt. But Deida says it is natural to be captivated by beauty. A superior man acknowledges that beauty with respect, but immediately returns his focus to his work. He appreciates beauty, but does not become its slave. Metaphors and stories. The honey and the bee. Feminine attraction is like delicious honey. A bee drinks honey to gather strength so it can fly again. But if the bee drowns in the honey pot, it will never fly again and will die there. Deida says, take strength from a woman's love, but do not lose your wings or mission by drowning in it. The storm and the cave. The outer world is a hard battle or a storm. A woman's company is a peaceful cave. A man comes to rest in that cave after a long day of fighting. But if he sits in that cave forever, he will lose his heroism. The cave is for rest, not for residence. 3 major lessons of this section. View a woman as your reward. Take a woman's company as refreshment after working hard towards your goals all day. Doing nothing but romancing will make you mentally weak. Appreciate the woman. Openly praise a woman's beauty or virtues. This will further develop her inner feminine energy, which will indirectly provide you with even more strength. Transmute attraction into power. When you feel a strong attraction towards a beautiful person, do not suppress that energy. Instead, channel it into your creative work or your workout. Friends, today you learned how to make feminine enchantment a source of power rather than your destruction. Remember, a superior man should not be deviated from his path, not by his enemies and not even by the attraction of his beloved. But how can this physical attraction be taken to spiritual heights? See you in the 7th part, where we will discuss physical intimacy and the spiritual transformation of sexual energy, which will multiply your inner strength several times over. Part 7. Physical Intimacy and the Transformation of Sexual Energy. The 7th section of David Deida's The Way of the Superior Man is the most courageous and mysterious. Here, the author shows that sexual energy or sexuality is not just a physical pleasure, but a man's greatest fuel for creativity and spiritual growth. The core mantra of this section is, do not waste sexual energy, upward bound it. The author states that an ordinary man loses his life force for just a moment of pleasure, but a superior man learns how to circulate that energy throughout his body to increase his awareness and vital fire. David Deida says most men focus only on their own release or satisfaction during intimacy. While this calms them temporarily, in the long run, it leaves them mentally weak and dull. This part of the book emphasizes sexual polarity and breath work so a man can elevate his sexual excitement to the level of meditation. Real-life stories and examples. Exhaustion versus vitality. The author gives the example of a man who always felt exhausted after intimacy and would fall asleep immediately. Deida taught him how to breathe deeply during intimacy and experience fulfillment without ejaculation. When the man mastered it, he found that he felt even more powerful and refreshed afterward. His ability to focus on his work increased several times over. A woman's liberation and a man's depth. The author describes a scene where a man was acting very mechanical or robot-like during physical relations. Deida explains that a woman desires the depth of a man's presence or consciousness even more than his body. When the man controlled his breathing and looked steadily into his partner's eyes, she felt ultimate satisfaction and safety for the first time. Deida says when the man remains still, the woman can fully surrender herself. Using sexual energy in creative work. The author mentioned a writer who would get sexual thoughts whenever he got stuck writing a difficult chapter. Deida taught him not to waste that excitement through masturbation or pornography, but to direct it to his brain through exercise or deep breathing. When the writer did this, strange new ideas began to flow from his mind. In other words, sexual energy was transformed into creative power. Metaphors and stories. The electricity and the battery. The human body is like a battery. Ejaculation or wasting energy is like draining the battery. Sexual transmutation is like charging it. A superior man knows how to store his body's electricity or energy and use it to achieve a great goal instead of wasting it. The fan on the fire. Sexual excitement is like a flame of fire. An ordinary man pours water on that fire, releases it, but a superior man uses the fan of his breath to blow air on the fire, spreading the warmth throughout his whole body and making his entire personality shine. 3 major lessons of this section. Conscious breathing. During intimacy or excitement, do not take shallow breaths. Breathe deeply into your chest. This will keep your nervous system calm and help you remain steady for a long time. Retention of power. Do not waste your life force needlessly every day. The more you hold this energy within, the more influential or alpha your voice, gaze, and personality will become. Viewing intimacy as worship. Do not view sexuality merely as a physical need. Accept it as a union of souls with your partner and a medium for developing your own power. Friends, today you learned how to transform that primal energy within you into spiritual fire and creativity. This teaching will separate you from the ordinary crowd and turn you into a unique man. But where is the final destination of this long journey? How does a superior man stand before the universe and death? See you in the 8th and final part, where we will learn the ultimate connection of a man's life, bringing fulfillment to your existence.
Part 8. A man's ultimate liberation and connection. Part 8 is where a man rises above personal relationships, career, and sexuality to find his oneness with the universe. This is the final stage of becoming a superior man. The core mantra of this section is, learn to smile while standing face to face with death. The author states that as long as you cling to life out of attachment, you will remain a slave to fear. But the day you accept death as your shadow, you become a truly free and invincible man. David Deida says a man's ultimate goal is surrender. This is not defeat, rather it is sacrificing the ego to connect with the infinite power of the universe. A superior man knows he will not live forever, so he lives every moment as if it were his last chance to give his love and fulfill his mission. Real-life stories and examples. Death awareness and bravery. The author gives the example of a mountain climber. While hanging from a sheer cliff, the climber felt no fear, only deep peace. Why? Because he knew a single inch of error meant certain death. Deida says if you can make every moment of life as intense as hanging from that cliff, your life will no longer be ordinary. You will not fear petty criticism or loss. Selfless love and giving. The author tells the story of an elderly couple. The husband met all his wife's needs throughout his life, but in his final years, he realized he hadn't given her his deepest gift. Deida says a man's deepest gift is his presence and his infinite truth. When the elderly husband looked into his wife's eyes and poured out all his love and masculine strength, their lives reached fulfillment. A man is satisfied only when he can give himself away completely. The power of being alone, solitude. The author mentions a man who always preferred being in crowds because he was afraid of being alone. Deida advised him to spend a few days alone in a lonely mountain or forest. There, facing his inner silence, the man found his true purpose. Deida says the world fears a man who is not afraid to be alone. Metaphors and stories. The river and the ocean. A man's life is like a flowing river. The river fights through mountains and obstacles to move forward. This is your mission. But the true success of the river is when it merges into the ocean, losing its separate existence to become infinite. A superior man also gives himself to the spiritual ocean after his career and struggles are done. The burning candle. A man's life should be like a candle. The candle burns itself out, hard work and sacrifice, but in return it illumines its surroundings. If you try to save yourself, you will remain in the dark. Learn to burn yourself. Only then can you give light to the world. 3 major lessons of this section. Make death your friend. At least once a day, remind yourself that you are not immortal. This will free you from laziness and help you stop worrying about life's trivial matters. Give your best. Whatever you know or have the capacity for, give it selflessly to the world. A superior man enjoys the joy of giving more than receiving. Ultimate stillness. Find a point of stillness within yourself amidst all the noise of the world. Let no external storm touch your inner peace. 5 powerful action messages from the 51 chapters. Mission first. Make your life's goal your oxygen. Let no relationship or situation move you from your path. Steadfastness like a mountain. Stand firm before a woman's emotions or the world's criticism so that others can rely on you. Polar attraction. Never let your masculine edge go out, as it is the true source of your attraction. Embrace fear. Know that where fear is greatest, the key to your growth is hidden. Give yourself away. Live like a hero and depart like a giver. Let every act of yours make the world more beautiful. Friends, today you received the complete roadmap to becoming a superior man from an ordinary one. These 51 chapters have the power to change your life. Have you found your life's mission? The true essence of David Deida's 51 chapters is to hold on to your purpose like oxygen and remain steady like a mountain in the storms of circumstance. The author says to be a superior man, learn to contain a woman's emotions with deep love instead of losing to them. Use your fear as a compass for progress and transform sexual energy into creativity rather than wasting it. Remember, the world will respect you only when you are steadfast in your truth, and every act of yours is for giving to the world, not just for receiving. Vow today, is your life's goal smaller than any relationship? Write your answer in the comments. Mission first. If you liked the video, share it and stay with us to build yourself as a superior man. Before leaving, a special request. Knowing something once and having it merge into your blood and flesh are not the same, so take the challenge of listening to this video at least once before sleeping for the next 21 days. Your brain might deceive you after a few days by saying, "I already know everything." But remember, practicing knowledge for at least 30 minutes every day is the real secret of the world's top 1% successful people. If you listen for 21 days straight, this information will be etched into your subconscious mind, and then your body will start applying this knowledge in reality even if you don't want to. Don't forget to comment on how you liked the video. See you at the unveiling of a new mystery on the Success Code channel.